And what was that early entrance? Like you started as a programmer, or what was it you were doing in IT?
Yeah, the reason I smiled is because when I got into IT and I was learning, it was during this time when I was learning Java. And while learning Java, I learned one thing that I cannot code for the rest of my life. It's too hard for me. And so one of the other traits that I realized, because I was studying in a different city than my home place, and this is the first time I ever moved out as well. But one of the traits that I learned there is that I love to talk to people. I became the head student of the class and things like that.
Right.
So I realized that I can talk, I can communicate, and I love that.
Mm.
So I went into, and interesting part is that I did my post graduation and the 9/11 plane, attacked just a month after my graduation. So I was one of the victims unknowingly who was impacted because when that plane crash happened and the dot-com industry failed,
Right.
there was just too many people, but no jobs.
Mm.
So same thing happened with me. So I landed up with like a Dell hardware technical person first. And then I got into something called as a data warehousing industry. So I
Okay.
started as a developer, but not a hardcore coder. So we already have tools and yeah, we're gonna move data from point A to point B and put logic in it. That's how I started.
Hello, team. Every now and then we get to sit down with somebody whose journey is as compelling as the insights they share. And today's ET Project Live conversation is with a leader who didn't start his career with all the advantages, but rather built his path through resilience, through hard work, and I want to say an unshakable belief in personal growth. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that later, but he's someone who I found has pivoted his career multiple times until finding that his true passion really lay in working with and helping people, specifically in how they communicate, how they lead, and ultimately grow as individuals. So during this conversation, I'm going to be put to the test a little bit because our two paths overlap considerably. So Amit will be able to test me as well in my knowledge, I'm sure. But we're going to chat around the power of communication in particular, looking at storytelling, looking at his book, which is called The Corporate Circus, and probably one of the more interesting topics in recent times. We're going to be having a conversation around how Amit is helping leaders to navigate something that many leaders avoid talking about, and that's office politics. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this conversation. Um, it's been a while coming, but I'm very happy to welcome you to the show. Really good to have you here.
Hey, Wayne, thank you very much. And thank you to all the listeners as well. It's a pleasure to be here.
We go back some way. I mean, I think we connected a couple of years back now on your podcast at the time. How has the journey been for you over that period?
Oh, it's been nice. And yes, we did connect around a couple of years ago on one of my podcasts and onto the same angles of communication.
Yeah.
And here over the last 2 years, it has been phenomenal journey. I had some ups and downs, which are part of life, which is also very nice, I would say. But it's going on well. How are things at your end?
Very similar. So I think for all entrepreneurs in the world today, whether you're corporate or entrepreneur, there's uncertainty, there's challenges, there's highs, there's lows. That's, as you say, it's part of existing in the world today. So we all have to be used to it and deal with it. But it keeps you on your toes. So
Absolutely.
if,
Absolutely.
if we look at your career, I mean, you had a number of starts in different areas that really helped to give you a grounding, but then you found yourself in IT. And I'm quite interested in that transition from what you were doing to getting into IT. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I was actually forced to do many things prior to getting into IT. So so I'm a single child to my parent, so no siblings. And I
Right.
lost my father when I was 15. And when I lost him, we realized that we didn't just lost a human being, we lost a lot of other things, like, lost a home, we lost all the money and everything. So we were like literally broke. And
Mm,
my mother, being a patient as well, so and she was uneducated, so she's not somebody who will go out and do any work.
right.
And so at that age of 15, I started to work on my own and with my education, because I also realized that I should I should become a graduate. uh, this is late, like mid 90s that we are talking about, right?
Okay.
So I started off into in a restaurant as a bartender. I worked in textile industries, I worked in banking sectors, in
Mhm.
sales and stuff. And soon I did my graduation. This is where it struck me, and one of my aunts actually helped me out. So I was connected with the guy from a company called as Aptech. Now, Aptech in India used to be a very famous computer group. So he suggested to do a course that will help me to get into IT.
Right.
And that it had an entrance exam across India. I gave the entrance, I cleared it. So yeah, after once I graduated, basically, then I one of my aunts actually helped me to connect with a person in Aptech. Now, Aptech, like NIIT, these were the two big brands in India back then,
Right.
into computer and training and stuff. He suggested me to get into IT by doing a certification that it's not a certification, I'm sorry, it's a common entrance exam across India level.
Okay.
Did that and cleared it, to my blessing. And that's my step into IT in a way.
And what was that early entrance? Like you started as a programmer, or what was it you were doing in IT?
Yeah, the reason I smiled is because when I got into IT and I was learning, it was during this time when I was learning Java. And while learning Java, I learned one thing, that I cannot code for the rest of my life. It's too hard for me. And so one of the other traits that I realized, because I was studying in a different city than my home place, and this is the first time I ever moved out as well. But one of the traits that I learned there is that I love to talk to people. I became the head student of the class and things like that.
Right.
So I realized that I can talk, I can communicate, and I love that.
Mm,
So I went into, and interesting part is that I did my post graduation, and the 9/11 plane, attacked just a month after my graduation. So I was one of the victims unknowingly who was impacted, because when that plane crash happened and the dot-com industry failed,
right.
there was just too many people, but no jobs.
Mm,
So same thing happened with me. So I landed up with like a Dell hardware technical person first. And then I got into something called as a data warehousing industry. So I
okay.
started as a developer, but not a hardcore coder. So we already have tools, and yeah, we're gonna move data from point A to point B and put logic in it. That's how I started as well.
You could change that storyline now, given AI, and you could say you had that premonition that a couple of decades from when you started, AI would probably take over a lot of the coding responsibility, and you didn't want to get caught. So
Yeah. There you go. I can say that now. Yes, I can say
you,
that.
you could say that. So, so you moved, I guess, progressively then into more leading people or working with people. And how did that all come about? Like, what was the leadership transition?
It was very nice for me in the sense of, soon when I joined a company called Estera Data in 2006.
Mm,
And back then, starting from 2007, I got leadership opportunities. You become a little like 3, 4 years experience now. So you're like a senior guy a bit. But
yeah.
I was fortunate enough that my company realized that I can handle people better. And because my technical lead wasn't doing that well, he
Mm,
was a technical lead, like very brainy chap. uh, so I was very fortunate that since very early time I started to get team management handling, and that started with me doing my work, but also seeing that, all right, how Wayne is doing, how XYZ is doing, making sure that you do it and stuff.
yeah.
So that was the transition for me. And I think it was 5 years down the line. And then I did my project management certification. I got into project management. And I've always been a technical project manager, means like I understand the issues. I will ask you the question that I know of and things like that.
Mm.
I'm not a person who'll sit on the tool and do it, to know every checkbox in that. But hey, I understand how to move data from point A to point B.
And as we'll
And
talk shortly with your book,
oh,
you
yeah,
obviously know how to communicate very well.
yes, and that's actually helped. And one thing that I just wanted to share is that
Yes.
I was also very lucky because my manager actually used to sell me out. Like, so here's how he used to do it. If there's no project in my area, he used to go to other departments and ask, hey, do you need help in this tool, that tool? Even if it is basic, no problem, Amit will do it for you. So that gave me an exposure of working from the source to database to front end to back end to testing to architecture, every bit of it. So I was blessed to have an end-to-end project and
Right.
many of.
We were just talking before we came on air, talking about our experience as project managers, and I never did my PMP certification, although I'm very familiar with it. We were just talking about the new PMBOK seventh series is radically different to when you and I were involved with project management, and it's changed a lot. But I can imagine in IT for you at that time, there was somewhat of a hybrid working between waterfall and agile. And today, I think PMBOK has even shifted in that direction as well. So I think the whole world, from a project management point of view, is also somehow coming together. So very interesting, at least interesting for me. Maybe not so much for other leaders. So what period of time are we talking now? When did that first happen? And what are you doing now in terms of your job and leadership?
So I started, like I said, was in IT doing my regular things. And every now and then I say this, there are people who come into your life and can influence you in a better manner, right? So one such person happened with me as well in 2015. He entered into my life and he projected me towards a different growth mindset. You have something outside your 9 to 5.
Yes.
And that's where my life started in because I became PMI volunteer. And to that extent, that my name is right now in the Agile book as well, as one of the contributors.
Okay.
I used to sit with the PMI folks who were part of the exam, who used to give questions to that. We used to enter in debates for P waterfall versus agile world.
Okay.
I took the first 3 batches for the chapter in Mumbai for agile certified practitioner certification. So that gave me a very different exposure altogether. It's not just now my company. I'm not confined in one place. Now I'm like spreading my wings, if I may say so. But that gave me opportunity to meet amazing people, to meet different projects. I realized how petroleum projects work, how other projects work. And it also gave me one more information, is that how small in many times the IT projects are. When you talk about construction projects and those big petroleum projects and stuff.
Mm.
So that exposed me to a different side of the work, that it's not just my work, my things and stuff. That gave me an exposure of I should go and seek more. And there are different leaders, different ways of handling things and stuff.
Mm.
And I'm happy that I use that a lot in my projects as well. So moving from there, I think, so most of the projects were always agile, because if you don't use the word agile, it seems their shareholders are not going to be happy. So I realized that I have worked in a lot of projects, big company projects, where it was just the name agile. There was nothing in it about that.
Right.
So I ran some first Scrum Master projects where I failed miserably. I did scaled agile projects with one of the biggest car manufacturers in Sweden. So I overall learned, I guess, is that it's two things matters a lot, is what the company's vision is, like really, if they can define that very well, and their ways of working, the top management ways of working. So from there, it's been the same journey. I've always been into delivering things. That's what my goal has been. Whether I'm tagged as project manager, delivery manager, there's a lot of designation tags, right? I call them as tags. My core job has always been get the problem done and resolve it, get it towards the next side and move on.
Okay. Very nice. So as time evolves, your competence and your exposure continue to expand. In reading the book Corporate Circus, it's clear that you identified some core areas that are challenges for many leaders, in particular in the IT space. But my expertise is not in IT, so I can confirm for you that this is not isolated to IT. It is very much a technical introversion problem that you talk about in terms of the ability to communicate and the whole gambit around communication. So in the book, you very nicely identify a whole series of challenges that people who are leading may be facing when it comes to communication. Without giving the whole book away, because we want people to buy the book, but maybe you could speak a little bit to what was the inspiration for the book, and what's the general theme that you hope people take out of it.
Yeah. So this is my 7th country of work right now. And what I've realized, first, when I was in India and I was working with the team, I had brilliant technical folks working with me.
Right.
But when you ask them to present or share information, it's always not up to the mark. They're boring, basically. Okay. And no offense to all of you. You guys are smart. But it turns out to be like that.
Yes.
Or they're not able to showcase themselves well. Then I moved to different countries and I realized, oh my God, that's a problem everywhere. It's not just with India anymore, it's everywhere. And that was the inspiration for me in 2020 to really understand how can I help, because people always say, oh Amit, you can talk freely, you can talk fluently, blah 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 and stuff. And I said, no, you can do it too, because believe it or not, Amit Khanna couldn't speak fluent English till age 18. Like literally, I couldn't.
Right.
So if I can do it, you too can. And that's where it started. So the whole essence of the book, or what I'm trying to focus here, is that there are three core things that anytime happens when you have to, wherever you go. So the first is that the choice of words that you're going to speak out, right? So that's like a bit of written, your vocabulary and other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second is when you say something, it is your tone that comes into picture. Are you a monotone, or are you, using some sort of a fluctuations in your voice,
Right.
where you can emphasize things and stuff? And the third thing is your body language. Like, are you using your hand and gestures and other things in the right manner, in the right place, so that it gives the right vibes to the people?
Mm-hmm.
Correct? So the fundamental is, it's not what you say, it's or how you say, it's how you make me feel is important. That's the core fundamental of the book. So to begin from there, we work on people's communication skills, and then we help them. All right, now you understood this. Now let's take you to a meeting. Imagine if your boss is taking over the meeting. How are you going to get it back without insulting that person? Right? How are you going to make sure that everything is taken care well? Then you take it into conflicts. A lot of people avoid confrontations and conflicts, so doesn't work. So then there's a whole, gamut of things around all of this. But first is, how do you take care of yourself?
You introduce a framework, and it's a very, very nice but very simple framework called BIG. I wonder if you could sort of speak to that for a moment, and we'll take it from there, type of thing.
Sure. So BIG is believe, improve, and grow. So the course starts again in the same thing. I have, just to share, okay, I haven't been a very bright student during my childhood days. And that was because of one of the fundamental things was my parents and many people just kept telling me that I'm not a bright student because I was compared with a bright one. Okay. So that put a limiting belief in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 13 years, and after 13 years, it broke. And after it broke, I realized that I can do anything. So I did my master's from US in project management. I did like 11 certifications in IT and project agile, everything, right? And interestingly, I'm still studying. Okay. I just did my diploma in human psychology right now here in Australia. So the core is that it doesn't matter what happens. If you don't believe, you will not do anything. Like even if I give you all the books and knowledge, it will not work. So believe happens through learning these basic skills. And we have to go back to the basics. Because one of my actually clients told me, you know what, Amit, this I learned in my 20 years ago. I said, yeah, but you're here with me because you're not doing certain things. So we'll have to take. So that's the belief part, right? So once I believe in me, once I know my voice tone patterns, once I know everything about the way I present myself, then it's time to improve. And this is where we help people to now, all right, how do you improve? Just take your day-to-day work. What's your day-to-day work? Time management, basically. Delegations. How do you do that? How do you handle meetings? How do you handle conflicts? Right? And how do you do presentations? Basic, very basic stuff. That's your day-to-day life. Then once you are good with that, then we help you to grow now. So grow is now getting into leadership roles. You're getting much bigger areas. This is where we'll help them with persuasion, negotiation, emotional intelligence from a company level, how to understand different cultures and other nuances and stuff.
So that's our BIG framework. And when I look at the roadmap of that framework, there's actually, I think I counted 12 subsets along that journey. So they're the three big goalposts, if you like, but there's a series of subsets. So you need to read the book to be able to understand all of that. But there's a little teaser for you. How much did you experience mentors yourself or coaches during your career to help you, go on that journey of learning, development, growth that you talk about? Were mentors part of that journey?
100%. I think, like I said, in 2015, the guy whom I met was 3.5 years younger to me.
Okay.
And the way we see things many times, and probably this is just me, but I still want to share this. I believe this, that we are a fairly egoistic person. Okay. And with my designation, me being senior in the company, he's new and stuff, there's a lot of things in my head right now. Correct. So I'm blessed probably from the Lord that, at that time it wasn't like that. And I could see the positive things in him. And he was trying to influence me. And I'm very happy that I got influenced. I still thank him. We're very good friends. He's still there. I treat him like a mentor. He treats me like a mentor in the area of life, because he knows the life I had, and he feels that, Amit, you're good in resilience, for example, and stuff like that. I treat him for making the growth mindset in my head. So yeah, it's always good to have someone.
Yeah, you just triggered a thought that I'd forgotten I did. So on your website, you have the life wheel, and you can go on and do the life wheel assessment. I took it today, by the way. As a coach, we know this tool, but your approach with the application is quite unique, and it's a great tool. So anyone listening, we'll put the link to its website, etc. But go in there, do this free assessment. It will give you a nice picture of your life and some of the areas where you may find some gaps that you want to work on. So yeah, thank you for triggering that. I'd forgotten about it. Your approach, however, is I can see you really push the boundary with yourself and your growth, right? If I was to count the number of people on two hands, I guess, that I know who have done a TED talk or been a TEDx speaker, and you've been there, you've done it. So you see an opportunity, you seem to seize that opportunity. What's that driver? Like you spoke earlier about your upbringing and the challenges you faced. Is that the only driver you can connect, or is there something deeper within you that is really something driving you?
I have, of course, apart from losing my parents early and all those things, right? So at that time it was push, like, the world is pushing me. I'm doing it. But then there are few things that has happened in my life that probably are the driving factors. Number one is my upbringing. Number two is that I have been, I've got 4 facial paralysis, like my jaw here. Okay. 4 times. And it happens every decade. I don't know why.
Wow.
All right. So the last one happened in 2020. So that's another thing that I really don't know what's wrong in my physical structure inside. We've done a lot of tests to check it, but I don't know. So, and the third thing is about the family. So I have a sweet family of, we're 3 now. And because of my upbringing, I want to make sure that my future is better than my upbringing, right? So that's another drive. And the other thing is, in 2010, I was in US, I was in Ohio, and my life is really nice. And I'm like thinking, what am I going to do here? Like, why I'm here? That question,
Yep.
right? So that question led me to two outcomes. Is that number one is that I am here, I should take care of my family first. So that's done. The second is that when I die, is there a chance if I can impact few people's life more so that they have better upbringing than mine? Okay. Can I just inspire one person? Like, hey, you know what? Look at me. Because for me, Wayne, the choice had always been very simple. You're in a trouble position. You have two choices. Now, please don't take this as like it's serious for me, but to all audience, understand from where I'm coming at. The first choice is just kill yourself. That's the end, right? The second choice is live and live and live smilingly and fight back.
Yeah.
I've always been on that second choice, right? So that that's the driving factor. If I can give that ray of hope to somebody saying that, oh my God, Amit had a crooked face, Amit had all this issue. Oh, he can speak. Oh, why can't I? All right, there you go.
Yeah. No, I like that rationale and the purpose there. Coming back to the book, I mean, we're talking parallel purposes here, but coming back to the book, what was the um, writing of the book like for you? English is not your first language. You learned it. You mentioned, it was 18 or 20 by the time you could speak fluently. What was writing this book like as a process, as a thought process? Like, was it a challenge or was it something that flowed fairly freely for you?
Oh, it was certainly a challenge. I wrote my first ebook or booklet of 23 or 40 pages called as
Mm,
Welcome to the World of Storytelling in 2020. And that was like a overnight thing. I had to prove something to somebody and I like, all right, I'm going to write it. And
yeah,
I started at around 7, 8 p.m. and finished at 3 a.m. And it was just for 30 pages or so. But this one was a challenge. The challenge was that I had the whole structure and everything, but I had no clue how to put it in.
right.
And when I spoke to some editors and the publishers, they said, "Oh, you should have at least 20,000, 30,000 odd words and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's a lot. Where I'm gonna get where I'm gonna get that?" And but again, the thing was that I read a lot because I love to read a lot. And I
Yeah,
realized that, a book is not just, do this, do that, do this, do that. Mine is still fairly, and it's fairly small in that sense. It's just 180 odd pages, I guess.
yeah,
But you add stories in it, you add some value in it and stuff. So I actually gave away a lot of things in the
yeah,
book, which we generally teach people because I realize that should be a good value add to the listeners. I mean, to the
for
readers. I'm
sure.
sorry.
For sure. I was going to say that as well. I mean, for anyone that's interested in reading the book, you won't be disappointed because you get so much out of it. As Ahmed just mentioned, you give away so much. Probably what we haven't been clear on is what's the book about? I mean, we call it the Corporate Circus. What is the overall storyline that you're talking about?
Yeah. So the story is really so I did not one of the things, and thanks for asking this. First, I thought that I'll start with one story, a person having a problem, and then I'll take that person and do the whole story. But then I realized that, this one person, if I go through the whole thing, it might look like this person is really, really terrible in many things. So I did not make it a complete story. The second aspect was that if you pick up any chapter, you will get the benefit of that chapter. So, for example, one of the chapters is conflict management. So you need not know the prior things of what's happening in the book. You go to conflict management. Every chapter has a story, which is mine, which is a true story because it all happened with me. That's the whole point here. And then I'm just sharing a bit of anecdote on the top about what it is, what did I go through, and then comes the meaty area of what you should do and stuff. So the whole thing about the book is that if you read it, so it starts off with your body language, voice, written, storytelling, a bit on it, conflicts, presentations, meetings. It is all the things that you need, and you do not have to go through, oh, I have a meeting coming up, or I have a presentation coming up, and I have to give presentation to steering committee. All right, just go to presentation, use it. I have some things coming up. All right, go to the meeting section, read it. So it's created in that way that it is a handy guide with you all the time.
And it works quite nicely. I read a lot of books, and I become very critical of some authors because of their approach. But I like the way that you constructed the book and the takeaways that are in every chapter, and I find that very appealing. If we then build a bridge now from the book and the journey of you having those experiences, you've shared them in the book, to the latest focus, and I'm not sure how long now, but towards office politics. What's that transition, or why that transition?
The why that transition happened to me literally, like, I don't know, it might be around 8-9 months ago. But at 3 a.m., I got up and I realized here's what used to happen, right, Wayne? So when I go and talk about communication, there are people who used to come to me, hey, Amit, I can't speak English. And I have to tell them, no, I'm not teaching you English. I don't teach you how to move your hands because let's face it, you're going to be on stage once in a year. I'm not teaching you that. Right. Go to Toastmasters if you want to do that. All right. Yeah. You are here because when you stand in front of your team or your management, they're going to interrupt you. They're going to make you forget everything that you have learned. All right. Your presentation skills. And my techniques will help you to stay calm and still deliver a best. That's what I'm doing. And then we have these Q&As and stuff every week. And I realized from 3 a.m. it's like, you know what? I'm not just helping people about these little things. I'm actually dealing with their day-to-day lives. So it's not something that people just come and join and then we give something to them and they forget. We actually deal with their day-to-day lives. Literally. Oh, Amit, you know what? A person, I shouted on a person and she started crying. What should I do? All right. So this is what I get calls for. And that's where I realized that, Amit, you're not just working on this, you're working on office politics. Because we are teaching you techniques, we are teaching you tools on how, and I'm not saying we are teaching you to be evil. We're trying to help you to be nice, but at the same time, pardon my language, but take care of your back or ass all the time. Right? So that's what we're working on. And that's what my third book will be. Office politics.
Very good. You saved me my final question. So we'll get the title before we finish. But okay, no problem. So, are there any common signs or any common conversations that you have that lead you to understanding the struggles that the leaders are facing with these politics, dynamics, whatever you want to call them, that sort of spring to mind?
I think the struggles that I see a lot of people, and even me, I'll not deny it's not with me. Right. It's just that I have my antennas on now, is that I have met, I'll just share this, okay? In last 3 months, Wayne, I have met people with 22 plus years of experience. in one of the finest companies of the world, not just from India, from Canada as well. And they have complained about how their friends have bitten back in certain areas when it comes to promotion or other thing, or they've taken the credits and stuff. They thought that they're allies and things, right? So what happens is, my core belief is that do not make family at work. You already have one. People don't like it. I say that you see, I understand, and everyone has to understand that you're doing the work so that you can feed your family. You're doing the work so you can have luxury. You can doing your work so that you can earn that money, which will then support in gazillion things, correct? So the point is that if it is going to come onto their work, they have the rights to defend it, right? Some people turn ugly. And it's there. You can't do anything. My job is that we need to understand it, have our antennas on for that, and real we'll not do any harm, but we'll also not take any harm from others. And there are ways to do it.
How much does emotional intelligence come into your thinking around this conversation? Is it a big part or just a subset of this whole journey?
Very big part. Very big part. You know, the first thing of the sorry.
No, please carry on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that the first thing of the EI that we always learn is self-awareness, right? So it's a very big part. People, all I tell my clients is that understand that everyone comes with a certain level of ego. The values that they have shape them, what they're doing right now. And everything is an output of a situation. If you're not aware of that situation, don't go and judge people. So that's the fundamental on we live, like my clients we live, is that just don't, yes, Amit was not good to me, but do you know why? There are many things that play on that. So rather than going and blaming Amit, let's just give him a benefit of doubt. And we give 3 strikes, by the way, to everyone. That's the law in my group.
For sure. And as a consequence of that, everyone's view of reality is somehow different. And unless we can understand that, we can never really cope with it. And that's why we end up so many times in that situation of conflict. Right? It's like that self-fulfilling prophecy, and we're living it day by day. So
True.
So people come to you, they want to talk with you about different topics. How do you sort of take them on that journey? Like from a practitioner's point of view, you have programs that you offer? Do you just do one-on-one coaching? Like what's your approach?
So we have, I'm on that point now that I'm very happy. We have programs. So there are recorded stuff that we have created. One of the things that I also learned is that if I go and show you or talk to you about body language for 90 minutes with, let's say, 10 things in it, you're going to forget everything by the end of it. Anyways, so I went ahead and I recorded the whole program on my own and made it in bite size so it's digestible. We also launched our own AI now. So now I have my AI, so you can have Amit 24/7 with you, guiding you there. And then I also meet my clients every week. So and then of course, there are ways they can connect with me one-on-one if required, and the ways we can meet in groups as well. So the goal has been, if someone joins me, we want to take care of them from all the angles as much as possible.
So looking ahead, you mentioned AI. Again, you beat me to the topic. So we'll continue down that path for a minute. But where do you see the whole technology and communication leadership subject? Where do you see that heading in the future within corporations, within business, within society? Big
I think
question.
it's a great question and a very exciting time as well. Because see, right now, AI is not that developed to a point where it will come and take our jobs and stuff, at least not for the leaders and managers yet. Okay.
Yeah.
What I see AI right now, and many people see, is, and if you go to the right tools as well, like Notebook LM and others, what you see there is that it gives you a lot of information. It gathers it, it thinks and stuff, right? And how good you're in prompts, it will give you better output.
Yep.
The key for all the leaders right now, at least for the next 5 years or so, is to understand that. Be good in writing prompts. That's very, very essential. Be good in collating of data so that you can give that to AI. If you can't get it from there, you can always give it and then ask them to research it.
Yeah.
And then how do you use that is the important thing. So the usage is where the challenge starts here, because people use it as it is. And it is good. It is definitely good. You can use it. It's not a problem. But the point here is that what we are saying is that your brain and AI's brain is the same, which isn't. Because,
True.
so I tell my clients is that when you like a quote, let's say Albert Einstein said simplicity is very nice, or whatever it is, right? Tell me what you liked in it. And that thing that brought a thought in your mind is the actual thing that you should jot down, not the quote. And this is what people do. They always go and mark the quote. I tell them, write down the thought that made you happy about this quote. It doesn't matter where it came from, whether it was a religious text or any text, it doesn't matter. But that thought, because that's a fleeting thought, it will go away later on. The quote will remain, and after, what the hell? Why did I mark this good? I don't know. So, and same thing, because AI is giving you something really nice. That niceness that you feel has to be written down somewhere, and that cannot be beaten.
Right. Not yet, anyway. Let's say not yet, anyway. Who knows what the future is going to hold with when we get to.
Who knows what the future is? Agreed.
Yeah.
You need to put yet word at the for everything now.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next for you, by the way? What's your plan? You mentioned the third book. So let's circle back to the third book. Are you seriously starting to prepare for that, or it's still a little way off in the future?
It will be in 2026 for sure, towards the last quarter of 26. I'm very certain about that. What I've just done is I've tried to lay down a high level of structure that I want to. But to be very honest, I also scribbled that out. So now the thought process is, shall I go with a story and use it because office politics is, I've given the framework on how do you handle things, right? Now I want to talk about stories. My goal is to talk about at least 8 to 9 stories that people face in their day-to-day life and give them the output of it, how to do it, what to do it, and everything. So that's because when I drafted the first time, it was very technical, but now I have scribbled it and I've okay, I'm going to take 10 things, 10 things that going to help people about it. 10 things, 10 stories. That's the end.
Or maybe less. That direction. I think, you talk about it, we talk about it as well with storytelling. I think it resonates so much stronger. We do a lot of ebooks now, and we write them as fables, so people can really associate to the storyline. rather than, as you say, just read a whole lot of technical jargon. It becomes more understandable, it becomes more engrossing. So I'm with you on that. Time is always against us with these conversations, but people can go and buy your book. Where's the best place to buy the book?
Amazon. Amazon is the best place. And as a matter of fact, I would like to share my link with you. So I'll share it. They can grab the e-copy absolutely free. Why not?
Oh, very nice.
It would be a nice gesture from you and your audience.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll definitely include the link. And what about connecting with you and the work you're doing? Where's the best place to connect?
So there are two ways you can connect. Just to note, Amit Khanna is a very, 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 very common name in India. So if you Google Amit Khanna, you will find 3 key people. But Google me, Amit Khanna speaker, and you will find me. I'm there everywhere. Or you can go to amitkhanna.com.au because I'm in Australia. So remember to put the .au at the end.
Yeah.
And you can see me there as well.
And that's Khanna, right?
Correct.
Yeah. We will link to it anyway in the show notes. So thank you for that. But a great conversation. We've only scratched the surface. There's so much we could have spoken about, but really nice connecting again. Enjoyed it and look forward to staying in contact.
Absolutely. Thank you very much once again for bringing me in. And it was really wonderful conversation. And thanks to all your viewers as well. Take care and God bless all.
So what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button below and click on the bell icon so I can pop up in your feed occasionally with a great tip for your ultimate growth.